What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Another video with the Nissan 300ZX today. The twin turbo Nissan 300ZX. In the back, if you missed my last video, that's my new Mazda RX-7 Turbo 2. So that was crazy. If you guys missed that video, make sure you check that one out. The story behind how I got that car is crazy, but that's the new build for the channel. So there's a lot of rotary content and RX-7 content coming too. So stay tuned for that, but today is not about that. Today is about the Z. In the last video, you guys saw me fire this thing up. I've been doing some work since then. I was just putting back my interior. I had half my dash apart basically because when I changed the wiring harness, it just got to come through there. So I put my interior back together. I was just doing some stuff in my engine bay over the last week or so. Look how good this looks. Man, this looks so good. I installed most of the engine dress-up kit that I had. So these hard pipes here are kind of, you know, for the dress-up aspect of it. I changed all my bolts that are visible, like here. So it looks sweet, man. But everything's pretty much where it should be. I got to put a couple more bolts in here for the hood and stuff like that. I'm gonna do that afterwards. I really want to clean this up. This looks nasty. I did paint my engine bay before I put the motor in, so that's all looking nice. Just super dusty, but these bolts I'll change afterwards. Not too worried about that right now. But look how good it looks, man. I used to look at pictures online of people's engine bays and be like, damn, I wish mine looked like that. And you know what? I think I did pretty good, man. I think I did pretty good. And she runs awesome. I just want to let you guys know a couple other things I'm changing. So I have a radiator air guide, I believe it's called, from Concept Z. I'm gonna put that on here. But before I do that, I want to clean this up real good because it has some 3M tape to mount it. And I want it to mount nice. So I'm gonna put that on here. Just off camera, I'm not gonna do that on camera. But I did buy some of this stuff from Z-Spec that I put in and for my cruise control. And I also relocated my PTU to down here. So just trying to clean it up as much as I can. I didn't paint this. I kept it the OEM color that it came with, that it was originally. So I'm not gonna paint that. I'm gonna leave that as is, but the rest of it looks amazing. I might get some throttle spring covers. Don't know yet, maybe, possibly. Maybe I'll get the polished ones because the radiator air guide I have is polished. Yeah, I might do that, we'll see. So that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna put that on here, and then I'm gonna also change my battery because a green interstate battery is kind of an eyesore. I want something that looks good in this engine bay and performs good as well. I've been looking at those red top batteries. They're supposed to be pretty good, but they're so expensive. I think what I'm actually gonna do is go to my Nissan dealer and buy a battery from the dealer directly, just because it'll say Nissan on it and it might look kind of nice. And I believe it's black as well, so it'll kind of go with the rest of the engine bay. And any stickers on there will just say Nissan, which is just fine. So that's to come. I'm just trying to finish as much as I can because this is Friday today. Next Friday, this car will be in a trailer. I have an enclosed trailer. I'm gonna put this in, taking it over about a 7-hour drive to Edmonton, Alberta. There's a big car show there, and the Z was registered for it. So I love taking it to car shows and showing people, man. It's always nice to chat with people that are interested in stuff like this. So if any of you guys are in Edmonton, Alberta, and you're gonna be at Driven, stop by, say hi, check out the Z in person, and yeah, come say hi. I'd love to meet some of you guys that watch my videos. I'll make a video about that trip as well. Maybe I'll do like a vlog or something. I'm gonna be in Edmonton for 2 or 3 days, so maybe I'll do a vlog or something, and hopefully I get this video out before that, because that's in a week. Today, what I'm gonna do is, maybe those of you with a good eye probably noticed I got some wires hanging out here and that little boost controller solenoid kind of hanging out. These wires aren't connected. The vacuum lines are all run up, but that is not connected. And the reason is because that is for my boost gauge, my boost controller. So that's what I'm gonna be doing today. I'm gonna install my gauges, and I'm gonna show you guys how to do that. This is my first time installing gauges, but I'm pretty sure I have a good idea of how to do it. There's probably some of you guys out there that have a better way of doing it, but this is my first time, and I did a lot of research and watched some videos, so hopefully I do it right. Anyways, let's get right into it. So I'm mounting 3 gauges, okay? So I'm gonna install an oil temperature gauge, I'm using the OEM oil pressure gauge that's already built into the Nissan 300ZX dash. So I just changed my oil pressure sending unit and now it seems like it's working correctly. So I'm gonna leave that one for my oil pressure, but I'm installing a oil temperature boost controller slash boost gauge. It's a 2-in-1. I'll show you guys which one I have. And then I'm installing a wideband AFR. I'll show you guys those in a second, but I'm gonna lift the car up a little bit. I wanna show you guys underneath what I already did. Also inside the vehicle, the gauges are gonna be mounted right here. I just wanted it to be a very clean look and kind of out of the way. I didn't want to cut up the dash or put them in the middle of the dash because I have a doubled in with Apple CarPlay thing going on there. My bezel's not on right now, obviously, because I have to run some wires for the gauge, but I'll explain that more as we go. Also, this steering wheel is probably not going to be here long. I think I'm going to put my original steering wheel back on and just get it refinished, get it reupholstered, and do the black and red stitching. But I don't know how I feel about the steering wheel anymore, so I thought it was cool for a bit. Don't know how I feel about it anymore. Okay, it's going to be kind of hard to see because I got everything kind of on there. So if you can see right there, that's on top of the, obviously on top of the filter, there's my Mishimoto sandwich plate. So I have my OEM oil pressure sender on there, and I already put in my oil temperature sensor in there because I don't want to drain the oil and stuff afterwards just to put that on and make a mess. So the oil temperature sensor is already there. So all I gotta do is just plug in the wire once I run it through. Also, speaking of oil, this is the oil that the Z is running now. Try this for a bit. Maybe I'll switch to Shell T6 or something like that. I know that's a pretty popular one too, but I'm gonna try the 20W50 first. Then maybe we'll go to the 15W. So here's what we got going on for gauges. Yes, I opened them because I already used some of the parts like the boost controller solenoid and stuff like that. So I went with AEM for all three of them. I like things looking really clean. I like buying parts that have a good track record and that perform well, and AEM is supposed to be a good choice, so that's the one we're going to do. I do not like to cheap out on stuff and buy some of the other ones. So here, first one is my oil temperature sensor. It has different bezels and stuff. Right now it says water, but I'm obviously using it as an oil temperature sensor. So there's that. Comes with a harness and some fittings, adapters. You don't need those. So this is super simple, okay? So this gets mounted up wherever you want to put it. And then at the back, there's one plug. That is this plug right here. The other plug will get plugged into the actual sensor that I showed you guys on my sandwich plate. And then there's a few color wires. The only ones you really need to worry about, unless you're doing something funky, is the red and the black wire. One's the power, one's the ground, and just cap off the other ones so they don't touch anything, and that is it. Hardest part is going to be just routing this through. I'll show you guys where I'm going to go through in the car for that, but very simple. So red is power, black is ground, find a good ground. And the red one, I'm going to use the cigarette lighter for all the gauges. That's the go-to spot for most of the Z32 guys. Basically, you just got to tap in somewhere that turns on when the keys turn, and cigarette lighter is just going to be perfect. So all of them are going to be plugged into the cigarette lighter, and then all of them are going to be grounded. These other color wires aren't going to be used. So that's this one. Next gauge is the AFR gauge. So for the AFR gauge, I guess this one I didn't open yet. It comes with a bung for the AFR sensor that you weld onto your downpipe or test pipe. I'm going to weld it onto my test pipe. I'm going to have a shop do that. You guys won't see that in the video, but I'll have a shop do that. And then it comes with the harness, exact same thing. One side plugs into the gauge, the other side is going to plug into the sensor. And if we go lower in here, I'm sure we'll find a sensor somewhere. So that would be right here. And basically what you do is just plug in the harness into here, run it where you need to, and that's it, man. Last one is the TruBoost boost controller, okay, from AEM. So this one's both a boost controller and a boost gauge. There's some fittings here. I don't need any of these. I already installed my boost controller solenoid with the correct fitting, so these are just extra. And then it comes with a harness, same thing. This is gonna plug in to the sensor. These wires are gonna tap into those two wires that you saw in the boost controller solenoid. The instructions show you exactly what wires to use and whatnot. So that's the wiring harness. So this is gonna go into the gauge. Two of these wires are gonna attach to the boost controller solenoid. And then you get some vacuum hose. And you need to run this from some point, wherever there's some vacuum, usually on the intake, on the plenum, or balance tube or something. Just tap into one of those. Attach this there, and then run it through wherever you run the harness through, pretty much all the way inside your car. And then the other end of this, you want to just put it on the back of the gauge, and then you have your boost gauge. So that's what we're going to get into. I'm going to route all the wires together at the same time because they're all going to be tapped into the same power source and same ground. So that's what I'm going to do first, and then I'll go put on the sensors and stuff. So I'm really hoping I have enough room to do this. But what I'm thinking about doing, beside the battery here, there's an area that goes into the fender. So I'm thinking about putting the wires through there from wherever they're coming in the engine bay. I'll run it down the battery so you can't see them going through here. They'll come out right there. This is the passenger side wheel well. They'll come out right there. And there's I should really move my wheel so I can show you guys, but there's that. You see that right there? That little boot. I'm gonna just drill a hole in there and then I'm in the cabin. If you guys have like the fender liner, it's a little harder because you gotta remove that. I don't have fender liner because wide body. Right there is where I'm hoping to go in. And then inside the car, you'll have to remove this little trim piece right here, and then you should be able to grab the wires from here. My subwoofer and speaker wires are coming out of there as well, so it should be fairly simple. And then from there, I'm gonna run it down here. I'm gonna run it down there and go underneath the console area there and tap into the cigarette lighter, and I'll probably ground it somewhere down there as well. And then from there, I also need to run wire behind the dash on the driver's side and get it up to the A pillar there. So hopefully I have enough wire. We're about to find out. Let's get right into it, man. So basically what I'm going to be doing with each wire for each of the gauges is I'm just going to put some masking tape on it. I wrote B on both ends of this one, just so I know this is my boost controller, because once I put it in, all the wires, I put it in the car, all the wires are going to be kind of mixed up, and I want to make sure I put the correct plug in the correct gauge and whatnot. So that's just what I'm doing to kind of remember what to do. And then I'll also put the vacuum line at the same time. So I'm going to do this one first. Okay, well, that was fun. So you can't even see the hole that's coming from the fender here. But I got all the wires through for all three gauges. So let me show you guys this side. I should have probably taken the wheel off, but this hoist that I have, it's a drive-on hoist, and there's no way for me to take the wheels off on this hoist, so I try to work around it. Probably made it a little harder on myself, but I just turned the wheel out of the way. And that's the boot that I used. There was already a hole in it for the power cable for my subwoofers and my amp, so I just kind of extended that hole. So what I did was I used a metal coat hanger and I tied like a rope to the end of it, and then I pushed it through here, and then I was able to see it from inside the car. I grabbed it, separated it from the coat hanger, and then there was just a rope pretty much going in from here to in there. And then what I did was I took these wires, I taped them really good around the rope, and then I came here and I pulled the rope out, and as I pulled the rope out, the wires came through here. And then there's a little plastic plate. It's just right behind here. It's kind of hard to see. There's a plastic plate there, so I just drilled a hole in there and made the hole bigger actually, because my subwoofer cable was already going through there, so I just made that hole bigger. And then I put all these wires up there through the plastic hole like that. And then all these little black things are just shavings from that plastic part. I was drilling into it like right up here, so all the shavings are everywhere, all blow goes away. But all the wires are here now. So these two are for my boost controller. That's the vacuum line for my boost controller slash boost gauge. That's my oil temperature sensor. And oh, right here, this is my wideband AFR gauge. So thank God that's all there. The only problem I might have is getting these wires below the dash all the way to the A-pillar. I hope I have enough wire to do that and I don't run out of wire, but we're gonna find out. I'm gonna just run it through down here. I'll zip tie everything up there. I'll go behind this console here, tap into the cigarette lighter, and then the other wire will keep going underneath up to the A-pillar to the gauges. So that's pretty much what I'm gonna do now. I'll put the camera down and I'll start tucking the wire and cleaning things up and plugging this in. So these two are just gonna plug into these two wires here, like that. Then that's done. This will go into my AFR gauge. Then that's done. This will go, that's the boost vacuum line. I'm probably gonna tap this somewhere super close. Probably over here, or I don't know, somewhere over here into the, on the intake. Here, maybe in the middle there. Okay, so here's where I'm at right now. This thing is messy. So I just kind of roughed in the wiring. This is not how I'm gonna keep it, but I used this bolt for a ground. So I took all the red wires that were coming from the gauge, the power wires, I connected them together, and then I ran one wire, one single wire to the cigarette lighter, and then I combined all of the ground wires, the black ones. I used a crimp for now, might keep it, might solder, I'm not sure. And then I ran that ground wire to the bolt here. So I'm just gonna start tucking things up. But before I do that, I'm gonna show you guys the progress. So I just connected the battery for like 2 seconds just to show you guys this and check that all my wiring was good. So when the car powers on, we have life. I just plugged in the boost stuff, the boost gauge stuff right here, and it works. So the power and ground is good, which is what I was worried about. I'm just gonna tuck all these wires and then I can plug in the rest of my gauges and then mount them up here, which is what I'm gonna do right now, and then I'll show you guys when I'm done. This was super simple, very straightforward. The hardest part, honestly, was getting the wires where they needed to go, and tucking this now is not gonna be fun either. It's probably gonna take me a while. I'll catch you guys on the flip side. Okay, so a little update of where I'm at. By the way, guys, this is such tedious freaking work, man. God damn. Anyways, I got all my gauge wires up here. The gauge plugs up here, so I don't even know why I took this apart. I'll put that back in, but basically what I did was I dropped down like a rope. I removed the A-pillar first. I dropped down a rope from the corner and I was able to see it from the bottom. I pulled it out, and then I took all of these wires, I tied it up to the rope, and as I pulled the rope out, I kind of just fished these wires through. So now all the plugs are here. Hopefully that's long enough, because I can't really pull on this much more, but they're ready to be plugged into the gauge, into each gauge. I also got my gauge pod ready here, and I installed the gauges so they fit in there perfectly. And then at the back, they're all secured as needed. So this is gonna look sweet, man. Look how nice this is gonna look. That's why you gotta get the matching gauges. Aesthetics matter 100%. So the way, so this gauge pod actually comes with these little push clips, or whatever they're called. And what they want you to do is drill a few holes in your A-pillar and in the gauge pod, and then pretty much push it in and use that to secure it. I don't like drilling holes where I don't really have to. So what I did is I went out and I bought some Velcro. It's like industrial strength, so it's more than enough. It's good for 10 pounds. This thing's probably like 1 pound, maybe less. And I put Velcro here on the A-pillar, and I put it on the gauge pod like that, so this will hold it in place just fine. The reason I did this is if I ever want to remove this, it's very easy to remove. Like, it's on there, but it's not like crazy on there, if you know what I mean. Like, if I pull this off, it's going to come off and probably leave no residue. So we'll see how that works. If it doesn't hold, then I can always go back and drill holes, but if I can avoid it, I like to avoid it. This thing's ready to go in. I'm gonna put this in the car and show you guys the final result real quick here. Okay, we're done. And my hands are just destroyed and paining and oh. So I got it. It's not perfect. I don't love it, but it's gonna get it done for now. I'm gonna have to go back in there, I think, at some point, and yeah, and clean it up a little more. It's pretty good, but it's not perfect, and I don't think I actually have OCD, but my OCD is kicking in. So here, I'll show you guys what I did. So the interior is completely put back together. Man, I haven't seen it like this in months since I parked this car in November to turbo it. Interior was completely apart because I took off all of this to get my wiring harness in. But man, look how good this looks. Sheesh. And there's the gauge pod. They're boosted, boys. All right, boys. Let's fire this thing up for you. So keep in mind, it's open headers. This car is actually getting towed tomorrow to an exhaust shop to fix my exhaust situation. I just have to get a couple things welded. That's when I'm also gonna get the O2 bung that came with my AFR gauge welded on. So they're gonna do that tomorrow. So right now my AFR doesn't have a sensor attached. They're gonna do all that tomorrow. So the Z is getting towed tomorrow morning. It's actually the first time I'm getting this car towed ever. And you know what? It's not because it can't drive or it doesn't start. The first time I'm ever getting it towed is just for an exhaust reason. I did all of this mechanical stuff this winter and it still starts up. I'm gonna show you guys here. Look at that, we have power. So this gauge right now, I ordered a oil temperature gauge, but for some reason they sent me, it says water. It's connected to my oil for sure. The sensor's in the oil for sure. They sent me the wrong faceplate. So I'm gonna order that one and then I'll change it at that time. But I mean, I know it's oil, so this one just has sensor error because like I said, and then there's the boost gauge. So that is a boost gauge and boost controller. And let's fire this car up. Hey, I love when this thing starts, man. Beautiful. So while I was editing the video, I realized that the outro to that video that I recorded at the shop, once that car fired up, all of it didn't get recorded. I don't know, something was going on with my camera. Maybe I forgot to hit the record button. I don't know. So I just wanted to do the outro here right now. And thank you guys for watching the video. Hope you guys are enjoying the content. So this video looks like it definitely will get posted before the Driven show in Edmonton. If any of you guys are in Edmonton, make sure you come out, say what's up. I'd love to meet some of you guys. I've never met someone in real life that watches my channel. So that'd be pretty cool. Obviously, I only have like 1,200 subscribers, so I'm not going to be meeting people out and about that watch my videos, but it would be cool to meet some of you guys. Thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure you follow me on Instagram. It's right here. I do post content on Instagram on my story and stuff of what I'm doing to the build before I actually post the videos. It usually takes me a bit of time. Unfortunately, I am a pretty busy guy. Behind on the videos usually takes me some time to edit the videos before I post them. So I do give updates and post stuff on Instagram. If you guys want to follow along, I'd appreciate it. But anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.